Hey guys, it's Wax with Ironman 4x4, and we are going to be installing the new Ironman 4x4 Exo Raid rear bumper for the Tundra. Super easy install, takes more time getting the old one off than getting the new one on. So I'm going to stop yapping and we'll start wrenching. Who's ready for a safety brief? Ready? Be safe. Have fun after being safe. If you're on a lift, make sure your truck's not going to fall off and kill everybody, including yourself. If you're working on a garage floor, make sure your truck's in park. Put your friggin' e-brake on, chock your front tires. You don't need to lift your truck up to do this install unless you want to, make it more comfortable for yourself. The spare tire, I'm going to leave it in. It doesn't really get in the way, but if you have like an oversized spare, you may want to drop that out. Just give yourself a little bit of extra room. That is probably the best safe briefing I've ever given in my life. I've also only given one. All right, so technically there's kind of two ways to do this. I've always done it by myself, so I just kind of slowly pull pieces apart. But you could, if you wanted to, and you had a friend, you could pull the entire hitch and tow bar off of the truck. You'll have to unbolt it from the frame. Up here you've got a couple big bolts, a few back here, and then you and a buddy could just drop the entire thing off. Then you can pull all your plastics and your end caps off on the floor. Also, if you want to resell your OEM parts, you want to be careful taking plastics off because it's really common to bust these clips. So you might want to pull the whole thing off, or you can work on a bench and go slow. If you're like, hey man, I'm just throwing this in the trash bin, then you can just get in here with a pry bar and start ripping stuff apart. So it's really kind of what your plan is and what you want to do. Typically my approach, since I'm working by myself, I'm just going to slowly start to disassemble this piece by piece. So we'll start with the bottom, we'll get all this removed, then we'll get the truck lowered down and we'll start popping our plastics off the top. Typically, when you're uninstalling something, you always want to start with your electrical components. So unplug everything that's plugged in, because if you don't and you drop this bumper down, you're going to rip all your wires out. Now we're going to be reusing our rear license plate lights, so we're going to unplug those and our rear trailer plug. All right, so we want to unhook our rear bumper harness, which is on the rear passenger side. You can see you got your spare tire here. So push that clip in and we will slide it out. Cool. And on the rear driver's side, we'll unhook our trailer plug. There's a big fat tab on the top. So just reach up there, push down, and this entire plug, just kind of wiggle it out like that. We're also going to unhook our license plate lights. So just reach up, twist left, and the whole bulb assembly pops out. We'll do the same thing on the driver's side. And the first clip on the passenger side, license plate harness, we want to pop this one out because it attaches to this plastic piece we're going to be removing. So we'll just get this guy, wiggle it out. Just like that. The rest of the harness is attached to this metal bracket. We can leave that in. And on the center plastic piece, we've got a couple clips. So we'll pop those guys out. This one just comes out a little bit, and you can get behind it, pull it out. And we'll get the one on the rear passenger side too. Cool. All right, we've got a bunch of these 12mm bolts here. We're gonna pull these all out to remove our brace brackets. We'll get all the stuff on the underside done, then we can set the truck down and attack from the top. All right, now that we've got all of our bolts and wire harnesses and clips and everything unhooked from the bottom side of the truck, we'll lower it down and we can get after it from the top side. All right, let's start with disassembling the wing step plates here. And there's those clips I was telling you about, they're molded on. I mean, there's a really good chance you might break them. So, you know, good luck, go slow. But this one just pops out real easy. Get on the other side. Cool, look at that. Didn't break them. It's a close one. Now I'm gonna work on this center piece. I'll start on this end and just kind of work my way over. Again, if you can push on one side of the clip tab, usually you can get it to start to work its way out. Yep, that came out. There. And don't forget to remove your license plate because that is attached to a metal bracket and you ain't gonna get this off unless you pop your plate off. We'll get this center clip popped up and out. So on this trailer plug, once we have the plug out, don't forget you want to pop this metal clip out too, because if you don't, that plastic piece on the outside ain't coming out. So we'll just depress the top of that tab there and the bottom here, and the whole thing pops out. All right, all of our clips are out, our trailer plug's out, all our wiring is unhooked, and I think this guy, haha, look at that. Now that we've got that plastic top plate off, we've got all these 12 mil bolts here, then we can pull our wings off. We'll pull these guys. The license plate wire harness will come off with that. Really straightforward. And on these 12s that are tight under your tailgate, just grab yourself a gear wrench, a ratcheting wrench. We'll break them loose. You might think you can use like a U-joint, but it's really close to your paint. I don't think you can do it. Same thing on the passenger rear. We'll break these loose, spin them out. Oh, look at that. Whoa. This guy holds the bracket on underneath here. So you break this guy loose and this thing's going to go. All right, you see these brackets here? That's what used to hold that top plastic tread plate on. Grab yourself a 12 millimeter socket. We're gonna zip these guys off because you don't need them anymore. Just like that. We'll grab the other side. So grab a 17 millimeter socket and we'll get these guys. There's two of those. Now we'll switch to a 19 millimeter socket. Save that for later. Just put that anywhere. And these two big dogs right here are on a little tight, so I'm gonna grab a breaker bar and we'll crack them loose. Spin out a little easier now. Perfect. So you've got a box about yay big that's full of hardware and your brackets. Break that all out. I'm going to show you where all the brackets and where the hardware go. We're going to start with the rear passenger side. There's plates that are going to bolt on here. That's what the bumper itself is going to bolt to. So let me show you the layout. So remember those L brackets? These are called nut plates that we took off. We're going to reuse these. So take your passenger side and your driver's side, swap them, and that's what you're going to need. So this is actually the driver's side bracket for our passenger side. Right here we've got our recovery point. You can see that we've got the longer bolt here. That's the hardware setup for that guy. These two are OEM, and then Ironman has supplied you with those guys there. So let's start plugging it all together. All right, so these two bolts that we removed from these locations we're going to reuse. So grab this bracket here. It says R for right. You're going to turn it like this, and these guys are just going to fit right back up in here like that. And I'll just spin them down about halfway. This guy is going to fit just like that with the flange facing out. We're going to slide him up into place. We're going to grab our two supplied bolts and that nut plate. One goes here and the other one goes right back through there. We'll come around here with that driver's side nut plate, and you want to flip it up so it looks just like that. And then I guess we need to push these bolts back just a hair, but there you go. And we will reuse that, and that'll fit perfect. If you kind of have a hard time, you can always push up on the brackets, because that's how they're going to wind up. And the biggest bolt that comes in the hardware, that guy goes right up top, threads in. It's a little bit longer than the OEM bolt, so that you get maximum thread engagement. And then that guy goes right there. All right, so we're going to grab our recovery point. I like to run my recovery points with the warning labels on the inside. It fits on the inside of the frame, so you're not going to be able to see it from the outside. We also have supplied you with a nice recovery point warning label. You can throw that on there if you want, make it clearly visible. So what we'll do is we'll take the long bolt, and that's got to fit through this slot right out here. And try to adjust that back. That goes in there, and then we'll come around. That slides through. Take the shorty bolt. So we're gonna go big flat washer, spring washer, and nut. Spin that down. Same thing on the shorter one. All right, we'll get it all tightened down and do the same thing on the driver's side. I'm gonna pull back on all my brackets, make sure everything's pulled back, and then I'm actually gonna tighten this guy up first, and it's a 17mm wrench. What I'm thinking is this will suck everything kind of up and get it flush, and then once that's done, everything else will lock down. And now we will zip these three down with a 21. And this guy here, old Boss Hog, he's a 24. Grab yourself 18mm wrench and socket for your recovery point bolts. And we will get these guys locked down. Again, you might also, before you do it, just double check it's pulled all the way back. That's looking good. See how the split washer's still touching? That means we didn't over tighten it, but it is tight. Once those spring washers open up, they're pretty much useless. Kind of like with me talking about my emotions. All right, this guy locked down. All right, parking sensors. I don't have them, you might. I get it, you're better than me. Possibly better than me. And if you are, congratulations. Let's talk about them. I don't have parking sensors on my SR5. We have included from Ironman 4x4 your parking sensor kit. Now, depending on the trim level, I've seen OEM parking sensors just clip right into the back of the bumper. No problem, you don't even need any of this. You can just use your double-sided sticky gasket here and it'll hold on just fine. Some bumpers, you need to actually use the provided bracket. So that sensor's going to pilot in here. This back cap clamps together. You've got a couple screws that go in. Then you use your double-sided tape, put it on the face of that, clean up your surface with alcohol, use some of this provided adhesion promoter, smack it on there, and they're locked on like cement. They're not coming apart. So that's how you do it. All right, things are getting crazy and we're getting close. We got the rear bumper shell up on our workstation here, and we are going to get a couple little chores out of the way. First of all, this trailer plug, we need to disassemble these metal clips off the side. Super easy, grab yourself a pick or something fairly sharp, don't hurt yourself. And the way to remove these guys is you want to get in this center tab and pry that up. If I can even do it, there you go, and they pop out. Flip it over, do the same thing on this side. Watch this. And then what you want to do is take a pair of pliers, grip it from that side, and then we're going to pull these tabs out just a little bit. So you're just trying to bend it out just a bit. So there's one done. Squeeze those in there, bend that out just a hair. You take your trailer plug and it goes in like that. Take your clip, slide it back down. Push from the back side, push with your pliers, and it'll lock into place. The other thing you can do too is if this is tight, you can kind of move the clip out a little bit like that. We'll do the other side. Cool. And then you can feel like if it's tight or loose, And if it's a little bit loose, we can just come in here and push that clip back in a bit. Same thing on this side. There, and that is in there rock solid. All right, now let's get our license plate lights out. If you take your OEM plastic bumper, there's a clip here and a clip there. So I'm just gonna push on the back side a little bit, rock it down, come around to the front, push in there. I think it just pushes right through like that. I'll flip this around, do the same thing. All right, for getting these rear license plate lights fitted on the Exo-Raid bumper, what I did is these will clip in here just fine, but I've got a little piece of adhesive backed foam. So I just laid that out like that, and I'm basically just making a gasket, just a nice foam gasket to kind of provide a bit of an interference fit. So after I get that in like that, I'll take my razor and I'll start to open this up here. If you have some foam laying around the house or some gasket material, or shoot, I guess you could just use even tape. Just kind of a nice little extra detail. So don't worry about left and right. This is the same Toyota part number. They're interchangeable. But what you want to do is see these tabs on the top and the bottom. They need to go here in the cutouts, and then you also have a locating slot right here, and the bumper's got one too. So now we've got it aligned. We know how it needs to go in. We can just push it right through. Oh, wow, and look at that. Surprise, surprise, a perfect and beautiful fit. So I'm probably gonna have to push, and you heard that one click in. Push it in. Ooh, that was pretty satisfying. And now we can get our pod lights installed. So whatever pod lights you chose with your kit, get them set up. Hey, one thing, I get burned by this every time. Make sure before you hang the bracket on the actual light that you run the mounting bolt through before you hang the bracket down, because you can't get it through there. I'll slide it through there. It's kind of a tight fit on this inner one. So I'm holding the back of the bolt with my finger. And after you grab a couple threads and just pull back on the light or pull down on it, and that'll hold the bolt head in place. And then you can spin this 13 mil nut down. Leave it loose because we're gonna have our covers, our rock guards, to keep our lights from getting all dinged up. We'll put those on next. Same thing, slide that through. Split washer, 13 mil nut. All right, so you got these rock guards brackets for the back of your lights so you don't get them trashed with all the gravel. Let's grab this one for the rear passenger side. We're gonna feed that Deutsch plug right through there. Get this guy fed right through there. And then we'll just fish it down, and we left those lights loose, and you can see there's slots right there. So we will get that set up right in there. There we go. All right, so the bumper is up on the bench and it's face down, so your license plate's gonna go underneath here, but we've got these adjustable little T-nuts that are on little sliders so that you can, so you just squeeze them together and then see, they slide back and forth. So do you remember back to the beginning of the video a million years ago when we were talking about like not destroying your license plate wiring harness? Well, this is why, because we're gonna need it. So if you pinch these clips, we will drop them out. And you can actually cut these, you can cut the wire loom, these little clips, you can cut them right off the loom if you want. I don't really want to, so I'm gonna leave it neat and tidy like. I'm not trying to be bossy, just a friendly reminder, make sure that your wiring harness for the license plate light, that this big plug is on the passenger side, or you're gonna have a hard time hooking it up. So now what we'll do is we'll put our bulbs in. That was real easy. So you just line them up with the housing, those tabs, find it, and it's just a little clockwise turn. Same thing on the driver's side. You wanna see a little trick if you have to do this install by yourself, because really to hang this bumper you need two people. Here's a little trick. Take a piece of tape, put it on the back of the bolt, set your bolt up, tape it in place, smash it around real good. You don't want it to fall out. All right, now what we gotta do is get this thing hung. All right, thanks for the help, Matt. So we're gonna tilt up. Come on through. I'll set my hardware up here. We'll get that on finger tight. Now we can pull the tape off the back of that guy. I'll take this out. All right, we're gonna throw a flat washer on that guy, split washer, and a nut. Threw a little blue Loctite on there. And again, just finger tight, so we leave some room for adjustment. Let's go to the other side. Okay, we'll drop that guy in. Followed by flat washer, split washer, and nut. And we got a flat washer, split washer, and nut. All right, bumper's hung, but it's still loose. We're gonna adjust its left to right and up to down once we get the thing back down on the ground. But we've got it up in the air so we can get our wire harnesses plugged back in. And this is our license plate light wiring harness. So we'll clip that back in. So we left our bumper shell a little loose. That way we have a little front to back adjustment. So we're gonna grab our trailer wire harness. And we've got just enough room to bring it around and get it clipped back in. So we've got our bumper adjusted left to right and up to down. So what we're gonna do is grab an 18 wrench and an 18 socket on a ratchet. And we're gonna start locking this guy down. And we'll get it just fairly snug. We'll shoot over to the driver's side, snug that up too. We'll recheck our alignment and then lock it all down. All right, that's it too. All right, let's get our license plate bolted back on. It's gonna look so good. All right, look at that. All done, looks so good. That's it, guys. Pretty straightforward install on the RTB 073 Exo Raid rear bumper for the Tundras. I can't wait to get out, enjoy mine. These recovery points will definitely come in handy. I think it looks really, really good. All right, if you want to check this out, go to Ironman4x4America.com. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook. We got tons of stuff on YouTube. If you have questions or want to buy one of these, talk to somebody. Don't be a stranger. Give us a call, 971-264-9016. Operators are standing by.